Okay, my next one says this. This is from Josh. And Josh says, I'd be interested to hear Steve's perspective on the recent trend of Bible teaching ministries that have begun to include breaks/advertisements in the middle of their radio broadcasts. I really appreciate that Calvary Chapel Tri-Cities has not followed this trend. It seems that for a half-hour program with these breaks included, only about 10 minutes of actual Bible study is taking place. Could this be a missed opportunity of sharing the word, or am I being too critical?
I can't believe you wrote that in. We were going to change our program and start doing that next week.
You were not.
I was just joking around. Yeah, I don't really like it either. That's just my opinion. So, I don't want to pick on other guys' radio programs. It's a lot of times what happens is people follow the advice of people who think that adults don't have a long attention span, that they can't sit still long enough or listen long enough to be able to take in a half-hour program, and so generally speaking, that's based on watching TV. And so generally when you're watching a TV show, it goes for about 10 minutes and then there's a commercial break. And so the thinking behind that is we've all been acclimatized to that kind of viewing or listening, and so it makes it easier for people to take in the word. And I just think that's silly.
Okay. I have a question about that because I have seen that as far as the length of sermons. Mm-hmm. And so practically speaking, if you look at the test scores for the students in America, they're falling off a cliff compared to, like Japan and China, and so the standards are falling. Some of that is the social media attention mm-hmm. span, can't sit still. So where's the balance of, as Christians, the church, not lowering the standards so that we reach people by their attention span, but actually give the full counsel of God? And I know that you could be like, give a 3-hour sermon, but
I think you just don't lower the standards. It's when I first came to church, they were teaching out of a King James Bible, and so I'm having to read these and thous and figure out what conversation means, and because conversation means something different in Old King James than it does in New King James or in modern English, and so I just am. Again, this is just my opinion. I think that people rise to the standard that's given to them.
Right.
And I think most people are basically smart, and they are smart enough to be able to listen for a half an hour, if they want to. And, I remember going to church when I was first a Christian, and, I went to a good church. And so the speaker was good, and so I was never a clock watcher. It's like most times, I didn't even know when the services were supposed to end, and that's kind of how that was. And I wasn't a church kid, so I didn't have that kind of setup or mindset. And so however long it was, I sat there and listened, and there were guys that I listened to that didn't hold my attention quite as well, but, I don't know. I just got used to it. And so I think that people can get used to teaching. It's like sermonettes are for Christianettes. So that's my opinion.
Don't you think it's a love thing too? Because a long time ago I had a buddy go, I just can't read the Bible or get everything that they get out of it. I'm just not smart enough. But that same guy knew every football statistic for almost every NFL team of the league because he was so far into it, and that's all he watched was ESPN for hours.
Right, and that's where most people are at. They can do this. They're not dummies.
Right.
Most people are, it's like I know people who have real issues as far as mental skills, and they can still sit and listen and receive from a Bible study that's being, a lot of times you got to phrase it in a way that they can understand. You don't want take the vocabulary to an extreme, but most people get it, and they're going through and reading the Bible as you're going through and reading it, and so I think that I'm not gonna treat people like they're children. They're not. They're adults, and so they can they can get this.
All right, Josh, thanks for your question. Appreciate it. We'll be right back. We're just going to take a break for some Money Tide advertisements. No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding. Hopefully this doesn't get chopped up and the radio just doesn't end right there for our 30 minutes, because that would be bad.